Shabbat Shalom. The story of Noah's Ark, one of the most iconic and least understood sections of the entire Torah. Everybody knows it, nobody knows what it's about, but they all think they do. Because we all imagine that Noah's Ark is a cautionary tale for humanity. You better watch out, or God is gonna flood the world. But that's not what Noah's Ark is about. We find out later on in the story that God promises to never do that again, which kind of takes the teeth out of the threat that God might flood the world for our crimes. Now, there were crimes, don't get me wrong, but you can notice that our tradition and the Torah was not trying to emphasize truly the wickedness of that generation. After all, we do not get an enumeration of their crimes. We get, in other incidences, examples of crime. Sodom and Gomorrah, we see the crime of the lack of hospitality. Throughout our prophetic traditions, read it just now this morning for the story of Isaiah, we see the crimes of our nation. There is no problem. The Torah is unwilling to always describe our crimes. But not here, because that would detract from the true message of the story of Noah's Ark. And the true message of the story of Noah's Ark is that Noah was a jerk. I'm sorry. He did the best he could in his generation, as the Torah puts it. But Noah failed. He did what was asked of him, and no more. And that is a failure by the standard of the Torah. Let me show you how the narrative carefully constructs this, even if the modern reader is not noticing it, because we're not used to reading texts in this way. Noah gets the news that God is going to flood the world, and that Noah should build an ark that will be able to house the animals and his family so that they will survive the deluge. And Noah's response is, he just gets on with it, right? All right, where's my saw? Where's my tape measure? I guess I better get building. But note, God gives him this instruction, no response. God makes him work day after day after day to build an ark, which gives Noah ample time to consider what is coming. And then Noah has to go through and load the ark. Again, hour after hour, day after day, no matter how you want to conceptualize this, there was lots of time for Noah to think about what he was doing and about what was coming. And then God says, get in the boat. And Noah does. And then the rain starts. And day after day, 40 days, the rains start coming. It is not just, boom, the world is flooded. It is a very slow, gradual process. Essentially, God is giving enormous amount of time to Noah to say, are you sure you want to do this, God? Are you sure this whole flood thing is a good idea? I don't know. Well, in the words of my eventual descendant, Abraham, it doesn't feel like the judge of the world is behaving justly. This seems a little bit of overkill, perhaps. And indeed, God will eventually say at the end of the story, I'm never doing that again, which implies that maybe God should not have done it in the first place. If only Noah had spoken up. But imagine it from Noah's point of view slightly differently. Rather than being the noble, wizened man that he always is depicted as, imagine him a member of his generation. And this is a generation marked by, selfishness and greed. And God says, I am going to flood the world, but you and your family will be safe. Well, that not only means that my family will be spared, which of course, had they not been, Noah might have spoken up, but it also means that me and my family, we're going to be the only humans left. We're going to own the world. The death of every other human is an incredible economic gift to Noah. He and his sons become the inheritors of the earth. What better could there be? I mean, come on. If someone said, there's going to be this whole thing called the Black Plague, but in the end, it's going to completely undo the feudal system, and people will be able to break free of their serfdom, And you'll end up with the Renaissance almost as a direct result of the catastrophic loss of life. If you knew you and your family was going to be on the good side of that loss of life, you might also rub your hands together and think of the potential benefits of half of the neighbors all going away. Indeed, how often do people complain about their neighbors and perhaps wish that they would disappear? Noah here had an opportunity to do better, and he failed. Now, we can compare him to someone else to see exactly what God was going for here and the difference that it could make had he behaved differently. We go forward in time a little bit, another 16 generations, and eventually we hit Moses. And Moses is leading the people of Israel, who, as we know, are a tough group to work with. And they get to Har Sinai, Mount Sinai, they receive the Torah, Moses goes up, and what do the people do while he is gone? They build a golden calf. And God tells Moses, these people have built a golden calf, I am done with them, I will wipe them out, and I will start a new people with you, Moses. You and your family will be the head of a great nation, and all of these others will be swept aside. And Moses says, hold on, God. I don't think you want to do that. I'm sorry, God. No. You can't do that. You must save the people. You must act on their behalf. Despite what they have done, you must forgive them. And God says, yeah, you're right. That's exactly what I'm going to do. Our tradition says that's always what God was planning to do, but he wanted Moses to recognize that he had to stand up and argue on behalf of people who had done something horribly wrong at that moment, even though Moses himself would stand to benefit immensely had he allowed God to go through with his plan. Moses wasn't Noah, because Moses recognized that it wasn't just about him. Moses recognized that selfishness, the selfish little voice, the still voice of God. That was the very angry, chaotic voice of nature, that there won't be enough a way to get more fruit. But that is not what God has called us as humans into being to pursue. Instead, we are meant to see that when there is a catastrophe brewing, we do not build our own boat and float away in order to enjoy the fruits of our survival, which are multiplied by the destruction of others, but instead, we build something that will save us all. We plead with God, we work and find what is necessary to be done, to ensure that no one need suffer or perish in the calamity that is approaching. That is what allows the Jewish people to survive. Had Moses chosen differently, we wouldn't be here. Moses could have become his own nation, but we, well, unless you believe you are a direct descendant of Moses and not a descendant of his brother Aaron, if you are a Kohen, or within the broader family of the Levites, or any of the other tribes, you wouldn't be here at all. Moses choosing selfishly is the death of Judaism. And he didn't. He put up with us for another 40 years. I'm sure, sometimes in the dark of night, wondering if he had made the right choice when he had to put up with the grievances and complaints. But I'm sure even as he stood at the edge of the land of Israel, which he couldn't enter because of them, because of that rebellious people, he still understood that he had made the right choice, that he had made the godly choice, the choice to not think only of himself, to not think only of his gain, but to think of the people that he was with. For what good is that gain if there is no community, if there is no love of a nation around us? Moses made that right choice on that mountain. We are forever in his debt. And we can pay off that debt by making sure that we make the same choice in our own life as well. Shabbat Shalom.